The sleek silver vessel orbited Earth silently. Inside, 8 aliens worked at their stations. Tech checked his screens carefully. His 4-fingered hands moved quickly across the glowing displays. "Captain Day, the planet shows Class 8 readings," Tech said. His pale blue skin wrinkled around his large eyes. "Oxygen levels too high. Gravity dangerously strong. Temperature changes that would kill most species." Captain Day nodded. Her silver scales caught the light as she moved. She stood only 4 feet tall, but commanded respect from her entire crew. "Record everything carefully," she ordered. "The Confederation needs accurate reports before deciding if this world deserves further study." The ship continued its silent path around Earth. The crew had visited 30 planets this cycle, but Earth looked particularly interesting. Blue oceans covered most of its surface. Green and brown land masses showed signs of civilization. "I detect artificial structures," said Navigator Han. His thin fingers pointed to cities visible even from orbit. "Primitive technology, but widespread." "Life signs?" asked Captain Day. "Billions," Han replied. "Mostly concentrated in those structures." Captain Day frowned. "Billions? On a Class 8 world? Check your equipment." Before Han could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across every screen. A low alarm began to sound. "What happened?" Captain Day demanded. Engineer Min looked up from her station, eyes wide with fear. "Something hit our propulsion system. We're losing altitude." Tech watched in horror as his instruments recalculated Earth's danger level based on new readings coming in as they fell closer to the surface. The numbers climbed rapidly. "This can't be right," he whispered. "Captain, the planet is registering as Class 10. No, Class 11. Another violent shake threw several crew members to the floor. The ship's outer hull began to glow red-hot as they entered Earth's atmosphere. "Brace for crash landing," Captain Day shouted over the alarms. "Emergency protocols activated." Tech clutched his seat as the ship plummeted toward a large forest. Through the viewport, he watched trees growing larger by the second. His instruments had settled on a final reading that seemed impossible. "Class 13, he whispered. "No one survives on a Class 13 world." The impact knocked Tech unconscious. When he woke, smoke filled the bridge. Emergency lights cast an eerie red glow over his injured crewmates. Outside, Earth's deadly atmosphere waited. "Status report," Captain Day called weakly from her damaged command chair. "Life support failing," Engineer Min reported. "Hull breach in the lower deck. Environmental suits automatically engaged." Tech checked his personal suit. The thin second skin had deployed properly, covering him from head to toe. It would filter the toxic air and protect against some of Earth's dangers, but not for long. "Communications?" Captain Day asked. Communications Officer Poe shook his head sadly. "Damaged in the crash. I've sent an emergency beacon, but help will take weeks to arrive." Captain Day stood up slowly. "We need to secure our position and find better shelter." Tech stared at his instruments in disbelief. "Captain, these readings confirm it. This planet is Class 13, the highest danger level in our classification system. Nothing survives these conditions." "Yet something clearly does," Captain Day said, pointing to his lifeform scanner. It showed billions of signatures across the planet. The crew gathered what supplies survived the crash. Their training had never covered a Class 13 emergency because such worlds were considered theoretically unsurvivable. Tech recorded everything in his data pad. Atmospheric pressure, crushing. Oxygen, toxic at these levels. Gravity, near maximum survivable limit. Radiation from the star, extreme. Biological hazards, off the scale. He looked up at his captain. "How does anything live here?" They exited the ship carefully. Earth's forests surrounded them. Plants taller than their ship reached toward the sky. Small creatures moved through the underbrush. A yellow star shone harshly overhead. "Stay close," Captain Day ordered. "We need to find high ground to improve our signal." They had walked less than an hour when Tech's scanner began to beep urgently. Large life forms approaching, he warned, moving directly toward us. The crew prepared their defensive measures, though they knew such tools would provide little protection against whatever apex predators had evolved on this death planet. Through the trees came 5 tall figures walking. On 2 legs, they wore simple coverings that offered almost no protection from the deadly environment. Some carried primitive tools. They spoke to each other as they approached. "Impossible," whispered Medical Officer Sun. "They're exposed to open air. No protective gear, no breathing apparatus." The tallest of the creatures spotted the aliens and stopped suddenly. It made sounds to its companions, then approached slowly with its upper limbs raised. "Hello?" it called in a language none of them understood. "Are you okay? We saw something fall from the sky." Tech activated his universal translator. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Intelligent beings not just surviving, but apparently thriving in conditions that should kill any normal life form instantly. "These must be the humans," Captain Day said quietly. "And somehow they call this nightmare world home." The 5 humans approached the aliens slowly. Tech stood frozen, unable to believe these creatures lived unprotected in Earth's deadly atmosphere. Captain Day stepped forward bravely, though her legs trembled slightly. "Our translator needs more data," she whispered. "Let them speak first." The tallest human, a male with dark hair and friendly eyes, pointed to himself. "I'm Quan," he said clearly. "These are my friends. We saw your ship crash. Are you hurt?" The translator processed his words, and Captain Day understood. She touched her chest. "I am Captain Day. We are peaceful researchers from the Galactic Confederation." The humans looked excited rather than afraid. A shorter female with long black hair stepped forward. "I'm me. Are you really aliens? From another planet?" Her eyes widened with wonder, not fear. Medical Officer Sun moved beside Captain Day. "Several of our crew are injured. Our ship is damaged beyond repair." The humans talked among themselves quickly. Tech studied them through his scanner. Their body temperature was incredibly high, nearly hot enough to cook food on most civilized planets. Their lungs processed the toxic oxygen effortlessly. Oh, shocking. Their bone density suggested they could survive falls that would shatter most species. "You can come with us," Quan said. "Our cabin is just 2 miles from here. We have supplies and medical equipment." Engineer Min looked horrified. "Captain, we can't remove our environmental suits. The air alone would kill us in minutes." One of the humans, an older male named Doe, nodded with understanding. "The air is too rich for you? We can help carry your injured. Just tell us what you need." Captain Day made a quick decision. "We accept your help." The humans fashioned stretchers from branches and cloth for the 2 most injured crew members. Tech watched in amazement as Quan lifted Navigator Han's entire weight without strain. Earth's crushing gravity should have made such a feat impossible. They walked through the forest. The humans moved easily over rocks and roots that the aliens struggled with, even with their advanced suits. Occasionally, tiny flying creatures landed on the humans' exposed skin, bit them and flew away. The humans barely noticed these attacks that would have been fatal to most species. "How long have you lived here?" Tech asked me as they walked. Me laughed. "All my life. This forest, about 3 years. We built the cabin ourselves." "You constructed your own shelter? Without protective equipment?" "Just regular tools," Me said with a shrug. "Sometimes we got splinters, but that's just part of building." Tech made notes in his data recorder. These humans spoke of potentially fatal injuries as minor inconveniences. They reached a clearing where a wooden structure stood. To Tech, it looked completely inadequate. Thin walls against Earth's extreme elements, large openings covered only by transparent material, no visible defense systems. Inside, the humans quickly prepared places for the injured aliens. Medical Officer Sun worked with ME, explaining what treatments would help. The other humans brought water and food. "We can't consume your nutrients," Sun explained. "Our suits contain everything we need." Quan nodded. "We understand. Your ship, Can others find you here? Captain Day showed him her communication device. We've sent an emergency signal. Our people will come, but it may take time. Earth's classification makes rescue difficult. Classification? Asked Don't Tech couldn't help himself. Your planet is classified as a Class 13 Deathworld, the highest danger rating in our system. No sentient species has ever evolved on anything above Class 9. It should be physically impossible for you to exist. The humans looked at each other and laughed. Dew slapped his knee in amusement. Deathworld? This is one of the most hospitable regions on Earth. Wait until you hear about Antarctica or the deep ocean. That night, as the injured crew members rested, Tech observed the humans through the cabin window. They sat around a fire, actual open flame that they had created intentionally, and seemed perfectly comfortable as night temperatures dropped to levels that would instantly kill on his homeworld. Captain. Dee joined him at the window. The Confederation won't believe our reports, she said quietly. They'll think the crash damaged our equipment or our minds, Tech agreed. No one will believe humans evolved naturally in these conditions. They watched as Quan playfully pushed me, a friendly gesture that involved physical force that would break bones in their species. The humans laughed, completely at ease in their impossible world. A loud howl came from the darkness beyond the cabin. The aliens tensed in fear. Just wolves, me called to them through the window. They won't come near the cabin. Predators, whispered Captain Day. And they speak of them so casually. Tech added to his notes. Humans share their world with apex predators and consider this normal. They build inadequate shelters yet feel secure. They appear to have no natural defenses yet dominate their ecosystem. As Earth's moon rose higher, casting silver light over the clearing, Captain Day made a decision. We will learn everything we can about humans while we wait for rescue, she told Tech. If we survive long enough, we'll bring the Confederation proof of the most remarkable species in the galaxy, the only beings who call a Class 13 Deathworld home. 7 days had passed since the crash. The aliens now lived in a small shed behind the main cabin. They had made it suitable for their needs, sealing cracks to maintain their own atmosphere inside. Captain Day had established a routine for her crew: observe, record, and survive until rescue arrived. Tech sat by the shed window watching the humans' morning activities with fascination. Quan and me were outdoors despite the cold morning air. They wore minimal coverings on their bodies as they chopped wood with metal tools. The physical labor would exhaust most species, but the humans seemed energized by it. May I join you? Tech called through his portable translator. Me waved him over. Of course. Want to try chopping wood? Tech's environmental suit would protect him for short periods outside. He stepped carefully onto Earth's soil. Even through his protective boots, he felt the crushing gravity pulling at his body. I'll just watch, he said politely. His muscles already ached from the short walk. Quan handed me a bottle filled with clear liquid. She drank deeply, then offered it to Tech. Water? Tech asked, examining the bottle through his helmet. Yes, said me. Fresh from the stream. Tech scanned the liquid with his device. Unfiltered? Untreated? But there are microorganisms living in it. Quan laughed. Just a few bacteria. Our bodies handle it fine. You should see what Dew drinks. As if summoned by his name, the older human emerged from the cabin carrying steaming cups. Morning coffee, he announced, handing cups to his friends. Want to scan this one, Tech? It'll really give your sensors something to think about. Tech did scan it. The readings made him step back in alarm. This contains multiple toxins, stimulants that attack the nervous system. Why would you consume this? Dew. Took a long sip, then smiled with obvious pleasure. Wakes me up. Been drinking coffee every morning for 40 years. Inside the shed, Medical Officer Sun was documenting the human's medical capabilities. She called to Tech excitedly. You must see this. The human child is injured. A young human, perhaps 9 years old according to their research, had fallen while playing. His knee was bleeding. The aliens watched through the window as Mai calmly washed the wound with water and applied a simple adhesive bandage. No cell regeneration technology, no pain suppressants, asked Sun in disbelief. Watch the child, Tech said. Within minutes, the young human was running and playing again as if nothing had happened. The wound that would have required emergency medical treatment for their species was already forgotten. That afternoon, the aliens observed another surprising scene. Dark clouds gathered overhead. Rain began to fall. Drops of water that felt like bullets to their sensitive skin. Lightning cracked across the sky. Electrical atmospheric discharges. Acid rain. Captain Day warned, "Everyone inside!" But the humans didn't rush for shelter. Quan and me continued repairing the cabin roof. Du sat on the porch sipping another toxic beverage. The children splashed in puddles forming on the ground. "They treat deadly conditions like entertainment," Engineer Min whispered. Later, as evening fell, the humans invited the aliens to join them for dinner. The aliens sat at the table in their suits, unable to eat the food but willing to participate in the social custom. Tech watched in horror as the humans consumed plants that would be poisonous on any civilized world, animal tissue loaded with bacteria, and substances deliberately altered by heat and chemicals. "What's in this sauce?" he asked, scanning a dark liquid Mi poured over her food. "Chili peppers, vinegar, salt," she replied. "It's spicy, burns your mouth a little." "You intentionally eat things that cause pain?" Navigator Han asked. The humans all nodded as if this were perfectly normal. "The best foods have a kick to them," Quan said, adding more of the pain-inducing sauce to his plate. After dinner, Du brought out a container filled with brown liquid. "Anyone want beer?" "Made it myself." Tech scanned it immediately. "This contains alcohol, a neurotoxin that damages brain cells and impairs function." Du grinned, pouring himself a full glass. "That's the point, friend." Captain Day signaled to her crew. They needed to discuss these observations privately. Back in their shed, the aliens compared notes. "They consume toxins for pleasure," said Medical Officer Sun. "They ignore injuries. That would cripple us. They stand in acid rain without protection. Their young engage in dangerous physical activities with minimal supervision," added Engineer Min. "I saw the children climbing trees 30 times their height yesterday." Captain Day studied the data they had collected. "Most remarkably, they consider this normal, even comfortable." Tech looked through the window at the cabin. The humans were laughing together, seemingly unconcerned about the predators in the forest, the toxic substances in their bodies, or the dangerous weather patterns. "I believe I understand now," he said slowly. "They don't merely survive on a Class 13 death world. They evolved specifically for these conditions. What's deadly to us is natural to them." "The Confederation will never believe this," Captain Day said, looking at the emergency transmitter that still showed no response. "Humans aren't just unusual. They're practically a different form of life." Outside, rain continued to fall. The humans had moved to the porch, watching the storm with expressions of peaceful enjoyment. To Tech, they suddenly seemed like the most remarkable and terrifying species in the galaxy. 2 weeks after the crash, the aliens had settled into a routine. Tech documented everything about the humans. Captain Day maintained the emergency beacon. Medical Officer Sun studied human biology. From a distance, the others repaired what equipment they could salvage. That morning, Tech noticed something unusual. The humans gathered around a small device, looking worried. "What's happening?" he asked, joining them on the porch. His environmental suit hissed softly as it filtered Earth's air. Quan pointed to the device. "Weather radio. Bad storm coming. The river might flood." "How bad?" Tech asked. "Very bad," Mi said. "The warning says possible evacuation." Captain Day joined them, her silver scales reflecting the morning light. "Evacuation? To where?" "There's a town 15 miles from here," Du explained. "They've opened emergency shelters." The aliens exchanged concerned looks. Moving 15 miles across Earth's surface would be extremely dangerous for them. Their suits had limited power reserves. "Perhaps we should stay," Captain Day suggested. "Our shed is sealed against the environment." Du shook his head firmly. "Not safe. This valley floods fast. We need to leave within the hour." The humans moved quickly, gathering supplies and securing the cabin. They helped the aliens pack their essential equipment. Quan brought their vehicle, a primitive combustion-powered transport, to the front of the cabin. Dark clouds gathered overhead as they loaded the vehicle. The temperature dropped rapidly. Wind bent the tall trees surrounding the clearing. "This storm front is moving faster than predicted," Mi said, checking her device again. Rain began to fall, light at first, then in heavy sheets that reduced visibility to a few feet. Tech's scanner showed the rapidly rising water levels. The eye ducked. "Lower path is already underwater," Quan announced after checking. "We'll have to take the mountain route." The journey was harrowing. The vehicle struggled up steep, muddy paths. Several times, all passengers had to exit while Quan navigated particularly difficult sections. The aliens struggled to move in their suits against Earth's gravity and the powerful wind. Halfway to town, they encountered their first major obstacle. A tree had fallen across the road. The humans immediately began working to clear it. "We need to help," Captain Day decided, seeing the humans struggling with the massive trunk. Despite their weakness in Earth's gravity, the aliens joined the effort. Working together, they moved enough branches to create a narrow path for the vehicle. As they continued their journey, Tech noticed something through the rain. Lights moving down the mountain toward them. "Someone's coming," he said. A second vehicle appeared. Inside were 3 humans they had never seen before. These strangers stopped beside them, rolling down their window. "There are people trapped at the river bend," a female human shouted over the storm. "The water's rising too fast. We're trying to reach them." Quan immediately nodded. "We'll follow you." "Wait," Engineer Min protested. "We need to reach safety." "Those people might die," Mi said simply. "We have to help." The aliens watched in disbelief as the humans deliberately turned toward greater danger instead of away from it. Captain Day made a quick decision. "Tech, Sun, and I will go with them. The rest of you continue to the town with Doe." They divided into 2 groups. Tech found himself in Quan's vehicle, now heading toward the flooded river. His sensors warned of extreme danger ahead. When they reached the river bend, the situation was worse than they had imagined. The normally calm water had become a raging torrent. On a small island of land that was quickly disappearing stood 3 human adults and 2 children. "The bridge is gone," Mi said, pointing to broken wooden pillars. "They're trapped." Without hesitation, Quan pulled a rope from his vehicle. "I'll swim across with this. We can make a line to pull them over." "Swim?" Captain Day stared at him. "In that current, it would kill you." "I was on the university swim team," Quan said, already removing his outer clothing. "I can make it." Before the aliens could protest further, Quan dove into the churning water. Tech's scanner tracked his life signs as he fought against the current. "His heart rate is beyond sustainable levels," Sun reported. "His muscles are producing lactic acid at toxic rates." Yet somehow Quan reached the small island. He secured the rope to a tree, then helped the humans prepare to cross. Mi and the others pulled the rope tight from their side. One by one, the stranded humans made their way across the raging water, clinging to the rope. The current pulled at them violently, but none let go. Last came Quan, helping a small child, who couldn't manage alone. When everyone reached safety, the humans didn't celebrate their survival. Instead, they immediately checked each other for injuries and began planning how to reach town. Captain Day pulled Tech aside. "Did you see what just happened? They risked death to save strangers." "Not just risked it," Tech said quietly. "They expected it. This behavior appears to be normal for them." As they returned to the vehicles, Tech made a new entry in his data log. Humans possess not only physical adaptations to their death world, but psychological ones as well. They move toward danger to help others, a trait that would doom most species, but somehow ensures their collective survival on Earth. The storm continued to rage around them, but for the first time, Tech didn't fear it. He was beginning to understand that humans thrived, not despite Earth's dangers, but because of them. 3 months after the crash, the rescue finally arrived. The Confederation's largest diplomatic vessel broke through Earth's atmosphere with special shields at maximum power. It hovered above a field near the human town, causing locals to gather in amazement. Tech stood with Captain Day and the other survivors as the massive ship landed. Beside them stood Quan, me, Do, and several other humans who had helped them survive. In the months since the flood, the aliens had adapted to many aspects of Earth life. They could now spend several hours outside their protective shed without discomfort. "Your people certainly know how to make an entrance," Me said, shading her eyes from the bright lights of the ship. A ramp extended from the ship. Down came 20 aliens in the most advanced environmental suits the Confederation had ever designed. The suits were bulky, with triple-layered protection and independent air supplies. The rescue team moved awkwardly under Earth's gravity. The leader of the rescue team approached Captain Day. His voice came through a heavy speaker system. "Captain, we are here to extract you from this dangerous environment. Medical teams are standing by." Captain Day bowed slightly. "Commander June, thank you for coming. However, I must introduce you to the natives who saved our lives." Commander June turned to study the humans. His scanner extended from his suit, taking readings. "Impossible," he said after a moment. "These readings must be wrong. No species could tolerate these conditions." Quan stepped forward and extended his hand in greeting. "Nice to meet you too." The commander didn't take his hand. Instead, he turned back to Captain Day. "We must get you aboard immediately. Your extended exposure to this environment has clearly affected your judgment." Tech moved to stand beside the Commission. "With respect, Commander, our judgment is clearer than ever. These humans don't just survive here, they thrive. They build homes with simple tools. They swim in waters that would crush us. They breathe air that would burn our lungs." The rescue team murmured among themselves, scanning the humans repeatedly as if expecting to find some trick. "The reports you sent were considered fantasy," Commander June said. "The Confederation believed your equipment was damaged in the crash." "Show them," Captain Day said to Medical Officer Sun. Sun activated a small projector. Images appeared in the air between them. Recordings of humans during the flood, carrying injured people through dangerous waters, rebuilding homes after the storm, children playing in conditions that would kill most species. "This is all real," Sun confirmed. "I've spent months studying their biology. Humans evolved on this Class 13 world and adapted perfectly to its conditions." Commander June still appeared unconvinced. "If what you say is true, these humans would be the most physically resilient species in the galaxy." Du laughed. "And here we thought we were fragile, always getting sick, breaking bones, needing rest." The commander's team conducted more detailed scans of the humans. They collected samples of Earth's air, water, and soil. With each test, their disbelief grew. "The Confederation must know about this," Commander June finally admitted. "These humans could revolutionize our understanding of evolutionary biology." Captain Day nodded. "That's why we've prepared a formal first contact proposal." The aliens and humans spent the day sharing information. The rescue team slowly became more comfortable, some even removing their outer protective layers after seeing that Captain Day's crew had survived for months. As evening approached, Commander June made an announcement. "The Confederation Council has received our data. They are stunned. They have authorized me to extend an invitation to Earth to join the Galactic Confederation with special status." Me clapped her hands excitedly. "Does this mean we get to travel to other planets?" "Eventually," the commander said. "Commander, though you would find most worlds unchallenging, what you consider normal would kill most species." Quan looked thoughtful. "So we're the tough ones in the galaxy? That's hard to believe." Tech placed a hand on Quan's shoulder, a human gesture. He had learned. "Your species evolved to handle conditions no other intelligent life could survive. You can endure pain, adapt to extremes, and even choose to face danger to help others. The galaxy has never seen anything like you." That night, humans and aliens gathered around a campfire outside the ship. The rescue team watched nervously as flames leaped into the air, but Captain Day's crew sat comfortably near the humans. "What will happen now?" asked Do, passing a container of his homemade beer to Tech, who had finally worked up the courage to try it. Earth will change the galaxy, Captain Day said simply. Humans will go to worlds that seemed hospitable to us but will feel like paradise to you. You'll help explore places we considered too dangerous to visit. And learn from each other, added Tech. Your resilience. Our technology. Me looked up at the stars, now visible as the Confederation ship's lights dimmed for the night. All those places up there waiting for us. Yes, Tech said, following her gaze. And they aren't ready for humans, but they will be. As the fire crackled and Earth's moon rose over the field, humans and aliens continued talking late into the night. Captain Day observed silently, knowing this moment would be recorded in galactic history, the night when the most dangerous world in the galaxy became the most valuable, and the beings who called it home became the most astonishing discovery. In Confederation history,